A Harmony of the Gospels for Students of the Life of Christ by A.T. Robertson, 767. The Return and the Healing of Jairus, his daughter, and of the woman who only touched Christ's garment. Mark chapter 5, verses 21 to 43. And when Jesus had crossed over again in the boat unto the other side, a great multitude was gathered unto him, and he was by the sea. And there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name. And what would have his name been in Hebrew, Aramaic, whatever, because there's no J sound, and there's no J sound in Greek either. So, and seeing him, he falleth at his feet, and beseecheth him much, saying, My little daughter is at the point of death. I pray thee that thou come and lay thy hands on her, that she may be made whole, saved, and live. And he went with him, and a great multitude followed him, and they thronged him. And a woman which had an issue of blood 12 years, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing bettered, but rather grew worse, having heard the things concerning Jesus, came in the crowd behind, and touched his garment. For she said, If I touch but his garments, I shall be made whole, saved. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her plague. I forget, candida or something with a scourge, but yeah, I forget that. I'm not totally sure about the name, but and straightway Jesus, perceiving in himself that the power proceeding from him had gone forth, turned him about in the crowd, and said, Who touched my garments? And his disciples said unto him, Thou seest the multitude thronging thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me? And he looked round about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what had been done to her, came and fell down before him, and told him all the truth. And he said unto her, Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole, saved. Go in peace, and be whole of thy plague, scourge. While yet he spake, they come from the ruler of the synagogue's house, saying, Thy daughter is dead. Why troublest thou the master, our teacher in Greek, any further? But Jesus, not heeding the word spoken, or overhearing, saith unto the ruler of the synagogue, Fear not, only believe. And he suffered no man to follow with him, save Peter and James and John, the brother of James. And they come to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and he beholdeth a tumult, and many weeping and wailing greatly. And when he was entered in, he saith unto them, Why make ye a tumult and weep? The child is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed him to scorn. But he, having put them all forth, taketh the father of the child, and her mother, and them that were with him, and goeth in where the child was, and taking the child by the hand, he saith unto her, Talitha cumi, which is, being interpreted, Damsel, I say unto thee, arise. And straightway the damsel rose up and walked, for she was 12 years old. And they were amazed straightway with a great amazement. And he charged them much that no man should know this, and he commanded that something should be given her to eat. Now, were they not sure about the word used? And what would that be in Aramaic? or whatever language that was, and was it known to be a word of power, and that's how people were using it? And so we return to probably Capernaum, Matthew 9, verses 18 to 46. While he spake these things unto them, Jairus felt that the language in Matthew 9:18 compelled him to place 18 after 17. I do not think so, for while he spake may be merely an introductory phrase for a new paragraph. It is best to follow Mark's order as Luke does, for Matthew is not chronological in his part of the gospel. Note in Mark, the administrative detail and fullness of narrative. Oh, that was note for last time. Behold, there came a ruler, or in Greek, one ruler, and worshipped him, well, showed him respect, saying, My daughter is even now dead, but come and lay thy hand upon her, and she shall live. And Jesus arose and followed him, and so did his disciples. And behold, a woman who had an issue of blood 12 years came behind him, and touched the border of his garment, for she said within herself, If I do but touch his garment, I shall be made whole, saved. But Jesus, turning and seeing her, said, Daughter, be of good cheer, thy faith hath made thee whole, or saved thee. And the woman was made whole, or saved, from that hour. And when Jesus came into the ruler's house and saw the flute players and the crowd making a tumult, he said, Give place, for the damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. And they left him to scorn. But when the crowd was put forth, he entered in and took her by the hand. And the damsel arose, and the famine hereof went forth into all that land. The fame hereof went over to that land. Okay, so this fame in Greek instead of the fame. Luke 8, verses 40 to 56. And as Jesus returned, the multitude welcomed him, for they were all waiting for him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue, and he fell down at Jesus' feet and besought him to come into his house. For he had an only daughter, about 12 years of age, and she lay a-dying. But as he went, the multitudes thronged him. And a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which had spent all her living upon physicians, and in that culture would have probably been considered unclean. Okay, I'm not sure. Oh, okay, some ancient authorities admit, and they that were with him. And could not be healed of any, came behind him and touched the border of his garment, and immediately the issue of her blood staunched. And Jesus said, Who is it that touched me? Because intentional touching between the genders, unless you're, there's conditions, most of all, of course, between one and one spouse, and then, you can hug your family and all that, and, you can have doctors and attendants and all that, and when all denied, Peter and they that were with him, okay, that wasn't some ancient authorities admit they that were with him. Okay, so some ancient authorities admit that had spent all her living upon physicians. Master, the multitudes press thee and crush thee. But Jesus said, Someone did touch me, for I perceived that power had gone forth from me. And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling and falling down before him, declared in the presence of all the people for what cause she touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said unto her, Daughter, thy faith hath made saved thee whole. Go in peace. Now, see, he wasn't even saying that was him, but it's her faith. And faith in anything actually makes a difference. Now, you should put your faith rightly, but oh, go in peace. While he yet spake, there cometh one from the ruler of the synagogue's house, saying, Thy daughter is dead. Trouble not the master or teacher. Oh, but Jesus, hearing it, answered him, Fear not, only believe, and she shall be made whole, saved. And when he came to the house, he suffered not any man to enter in with him, save Peter and John and James and the father of the maiden and her mother, and all were weeping and bewailing her. But he said, Weep not, for she is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed him to scorn, knowing that she was dead. But he, taking her by the hand, called, saying, Maiden, arise. And her spirit returned, and she rose up immediately. And he commanded that something be given her to eat. And her parents were amazed, but he charged them to tell no man what had been done. And it wasn't about him, so therefore that's the thing. It was about his mission. So he was preventing fanaticism.